Welcome to From the VC's Bookshelf, a podcast from TBR, the College System of Tennessee, the state's largest higher education system. In this series, we examine how we might re-envision the work we do and how we work together as we move into a post-pandemic world. Please join our host, Dr. Heidi Lemming, Vice Chancellor for Student Success, as she leads a live discussion with industry experts and leaders throughout our system.
In our Spring 2024 podcast series, we are leaning into themes found in the real world of college, what higher education is and what it can be, by Wendy Fischman and Gardner. This series will focus on presidential perspectives on leading today's community and technical colleges and the issues and concerns facing TBR college students. In today's podcast, I'm excited to be talking to Dr. Susanne Cox, who is president of TCAT Morristown. She previously served as vice president for the college before being appointed president in 2022. She joined the staff at TCAT Morristown in 1990 as a bookstore clerk and assistant to the president, and 10 years later was appointed business office manager in 2000. From 2010 to 12, she served as a student services support associate, followed by service as a financial aid coordinator from 2012 to 2014, when she was appointed the college's vice president's position. Cox earned a Master of Education degree in instructional leadership with a concentration in career and technical education at Tennessee State University and a Bachelor of Science degree in organizational management at Tusculum University. And it's worth noting that TCAT Morristown was the 2023 recipient of the TBR System's Technical College of the Year Award. Thank you for being here today to talk with me.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Excited to hear your perspectives on this book. For our listeners who maybe haven't had a chance to check out the book, The Real World of College, we're going to look at some themes that may play out similarly or differently for our TBR colleges and students. The authors conducted interviews with more than 2,000 students, alumni, faculty, parents, and others, where they looked at 10 institutions ranging from highly selective liberal arts colleges to less selective state schools. And it's important to note that at the beginning here that they didn't look at post-secondary technical colleges and community colleges, which is, of course, the focus of our system. The authors of this book argue that higher education in the U.S. has lost sight of its principal reason for existing in what they have coined higher education capital. That is, helping students think well and broadly, express themselves clearly, explore new ideas, and be open to possible transformations. So the authors make the argument through their research that what students are mainly concerned with is not what we hear about in the media, but rather getting good grades, developing a resume, and concerns over mental health issues and lack of connectivity to others. So we're going to dive into some of these themes and your a perspective from a president's role, Dr. Cox, today. And again, we're focused, our conversations on vocational education because that's where we work, but the researchers were focused on non-vocational education. So to start with, let's just hear you describe, if you're out in the community talking to folks about TCAT Morristown, what's the mission of your institution and how do you think holistically about supporting students?
Sure. Within the technical college, of course, we have a tremendous focus on employability and life skills. On the campus level, we call it worker characteristics. And these are skills that will serve students well way beyond their time at our college, truly the rest of their lives. Things such as showing up, being present, being on time, being a team leader, a team player, having a good attitude, being able to take constructive criticism and taking responsibility and being accountable. All of these soft skills are embedded in our courses, like I said, as worker characteristics, and we definitely focus on those things. They're important to the businesses and industries that we serve. And holistically, we also, looking at the whole student, we started on our campus what we call Exit with a Plan, where students attend sessions prior to graduation on financial management, how to budget, resume preparation, and interviewing skills. So we make every effort for our students to exit with a plan, being prepared as possible for the workforce. And we also, within several of our programs, we work a lot on in teams and being a team player and being a team leader. For example, in our automotive technology program, that program runs similar to a dealership, and we have team leaders that are advanced in their education level, and then the team members, maybe they just started the program or first or second term, and they progress through their projects with problem solving, and the team leader assists the team members, and they rely on the instructor as a mentor, and they go throughout their day. They work on individual instruction projects where they're actually working on vehicles for approved projects for the public. And so those team leaders are engaging with customers, if you will, and basically just it's like a dealership. So they're getting that real world experience day in and day out. And so that certainly strengthens their team leading and being a team player. It's similar to such as with our nursing program and clinicals. They have an instructor readily available, a mentor to lean on while they're performing their skills. And it builds their confidence, and I think that makes a world of difference. To give a further example, it's been a few years ago, but we had a young man on our campus enrolled in our industrial maintenance program, and he was just really extremely shy and somewhat withdrawn. And he actually had Tourette's syndrome, so when he got really overly nervous or anxious, it presented as tics, that he really struggled with. And throughout his time on our campus, his shyness just started to, if you will, fall away somewhat. And he became a student worker working after school on our college work-study program. And he enjoyed it so much, and just really his confidence grew. And he volunteered eventually to help with tours on our campus and talk to students, potential students, about attending our college. And so that was just wonderful to see.
Yeah.
And he's, as far as I know, he's still working. He went to work in a local industry and has progressed to a maintenance supervisor. And so he really built his confidence, and stories like that are just plentiful on our campus. But that, I think, with the way we can conduct our programs, building that confidence, giving them the skills that they need in the real world, really makes a difference.
Yeah. So, obviously most folks are familiar with the fact that our technical colleges are teaching skills in certain industries and trades. But what I really like about your response is you're doing a lot of the same things that people probably associate with a community or university, a community college or university, in that you are still very focused on preparing that individual for life beyond your doors at the TCAT. Great examples there. I
Thank
love
you.
how you really, leaned into an example of how you can build that confidence in somebody to be shy at first and now become kind of a public speaker with the tours and that sort of thing. So that's a great illustration of how you all are working more with students in that holistic frame of mind. Curious, you're a TCAT College of the Year. So maybe also talking a little bit about, from this award that you've received, is there something that you feel really kind of is special about your institution that led you to kind of get this award? Signature effort maybe that you want to kind of talk about there? What do you think?
Well, as far as if you think about raising the bar, if you will, some of the innovative initiatives on our campus that come to mind.
Yeah.
One would be one of our GIVE initiatives with the GIVE grant was to have a manufacturing boot camp focused on non-traditional students. We call it Rosie's Girls.
Okay.
And we focused on rising freshmen, female students, to explore opportunities they would otherwise not have access to. Through a partnership with the school system, they approached the 4 middle schools in Hamlin County for female students that would be interested in this boot camp. It was a 4-day camp. The goal of the camp was to encourage females to participate in manufacturing and engineering coursework at the high school level, to make them aware of the different pathway options available to them. One day, one of the students toured local industry on day one. The students toured local industries and got a real life example of seeing technical skills at work in everyday life. They were available to see and observe how technical skills are being used in the workplace and actually their contribution worldwide. The remaining 3 days of the camp, the students were exposed to engineering, machining, welding, and electrical work to construct a project. It was a very personal project. It was a sign with their name that lit up. It was really a cool project for them, and they took part in the design of the project, of the little sign. They cut the metal, they bent the metal, and they welded the feet on the sign. And then they actually wired the box that had a LED mode and a motor, 2 switches, and a circuit board, put it all together to make the sign light up. When we asked the students what was a takeaway from their experience and did this experience change their perception of career and technical education or working in manufacturing, one of the students said, well, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and now I'm thinking that maybe I want to be a welder. And without this opportunity, the students wouldn't have had the chance to explore this particular pathway to maybe discover a lifelong passion. In truth, that particular student that answered that question, she may not ever become a lawyer or a welder. However, she was exposed to many of the career opportunities that are available to her and just broadened her perspective.
Yeah.
So that is one of the initiatives that we've had on our campus, and I think we're always trying to find or discover more innovative ways to make a difference. Another example that I can provide is one that we just recently started, and it's our Jail to Work program, and it's a partnership with our local Chamber of Commerce. They were actually awarded a Workforce Invest grant by Tennessee Valley Authority in an efforts to address critical workforce development needs. And the grant funds are being used to enhance and expand the Jail to Work program for currently and formerly incarcerated female inmates to better prepare them for entry-level employment in local manufacturing businesses and companies. The participants are coming to our campus to receive OSHA 10 certifications, forklift operation certifications, as well as basic computer skills in Microsoft Word and Excel. And like I said, this project is actually in partnership with a host of community leaders. It's the Morristown Area Chamber of Commerce, the McNabb Center, Hamlin County, and TCAT Morristown.
Yeah.
So we were very excited to be a partner in these efforts. And from what I understand, the students that have come through so far, we've had 2 cohorts come through so far, and they've been very well pleased with the training that they've received. And really, and this makes me very proud, is the warm welcome that they've received on our campus. And so it's a great initiative, and we're hoping to continue to grow it. So
yeah, well, so those are some great examples of what the authors even have talked about in terms of student transformation. And so you've got the students that might just think, oh, it's just a next step, I got to go to college. But you've also got students who are more of the exploratory phase. You're kind of leaning into that a little bit with the program you're talking about, exposing students to CTE type programs and maybe opening their minds to those possibilities. But you also have an example here of a transformational experience for individuals who are formerly incarcerated, getting training and being able to transition back into society, right? And being productive. So I really like that, because you're kind of showing some examples of how your institution still does that exploratory transformational work, which people largely associate with maybe a university, but I mean, we're doing it in the technical space as well. So I guess, I'm pointing out, it seems to me that you're working with students along those 4 different pathways where they are. So I'd assume you'd agree with the authors that this is an effective framework of students.
I do agree with that. Very, very much so.
Yeah.
Trying to meet students where they are and take them to their full potential.
Yeah. Certainly challenges with that, too, as a college president, where you're trying to meet the needs of every student, and that can be so broad and varied, right?
Absolutely.
What are some of the perspectives you have when you think about working with students in these spaces and trying to meet the needs of those students in any one of those phases?
Well, like I said, I absolutely agree with the framework, and I do feel it applies to the technical colleges as well. Over the years, we've been fortunate to enroll students who are serious about skills training and want to make the most of their experience while they're enrolled. Historically, the majority of our students, I think, have been what I call transformational, even if it's on a small scale, focusing on themselves and their families. Many are active in their communities and take on a leadership role, both in the workforce and beyond. 15 years ago, the average age of our student population was between 30 and 35. This group of students have been in the workforce in one role or another, were very mature most of the time, and already had a good work ethic. They realized they needed additional skills to obtain a livable wage or to upskill, to have job security, and even to move up in their own organization. In the last 10 years or so, of course, we've observed a steady shift in the way students view their college experience, and I think now it can be more inertial or transactional. The average age of our students now is between 20 and 24. You wouldn't think that would make much of a difference, but it has had a tremendous effect for us on the way we must meet students where they are and get them to where they need to be and get them in the workforce. Some of the students are undecided in their career path, or maybe they don't even know if college is really for them. Many have not yet had a job, or if so, maybe not for long, and probably not currently working in the profession that they want to pursue. With the worker characteristics that I spoke about that are embedded in our programs, when students get started, they soon realize that the expectations are high, and they're expected to be in attendance each day. They have to be on time and work while they're there. Some have a misconception that attendance alone equals success. It can be quite difficult to make the transition to what is expected, in the workforce. So our standards are high. Of course, they're there for a reason. And teaching good worker characteristics and enforcing the rules are not for the weak, I will say. But by the time they graduate with the technical skills they've earned, they have a whole new understanding of the importance of what is expected, in the workforce. And so we truly work on that. When I talk about having mature students, with a proven work record, the student type that comes to mind that I was speaking of historically would be like a dislocated worker. For a period of time years ago, we had several plant closures and relocations. For those workers whose jobs moved out of the country, many of them qualified for extended unemployment benefits and training to upskill, to bring them up to date in their skills, make them more employable for the workforce. And that was under the Trade Readjustment Act, or what we know as TRA. Their attendance was outstanding. They had a great work attitude, and they were eager to learn all that they could so that they could be successful in a new career. They, I guess, had a better understanding of what that really truly meant. Our completion and placement and licensure rates at that time were probably higher than they've ever been. When these students graduated, highly technical careers were waiting for them. Companies were eager to hire them because they had demonstrated a willingness to learn and improve their skills, and had such a tremendous work ethic, These students knew all too well the importance of bringing value to a company and staying relevant with new technology as their jobs moved out of the country. So that's just a totally different demographic than what we have now on our campus. So we're truly trying to meet students where they are and provide those supports, because it's just a younger group of students on our campus now.
And just being adaptable, even, I guess, to the industries, to your point, is some of them might close or shift.
Absolutely.
As technology shifts. And, one of the things I appreciate kind of hearing is, again, the reflections of possibly where the students are viewing the purpose of coming to school, whether an adult or a student straight out of high school. What are, from your presidential perspective, what are some of the other things that you're hearing students kind of talk about? Whether it's like the challenges of being a student or the idea of an adult, like what's a challenge to come back? What are the things that you're hearing? Because, obviously we've got a pretty strong economy right now, which sometimes means that they're maybe not thinking that they need to be upskilled. But, when you talk about, again, how things evolve and change and upskilling, what are some of the barriers that you're hearing students still face?
Well, I think one of the barriers students face is, sometimes just the attending college can be difficult. Sometimes they have to transition to go back to work. They just can't, we have students that work full-time jobs or part-time jobs. And I'll give you an example. Recently, I had a student that was working a midnight shift, working a full-time job, trying to come to class during the day full-time. And, our programs are 5 days a week. Our full-time programs are 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. And so he was going home to sleep for a short amount of time, maybe 3 hours, and then go to work, around 6 o'clock in the evening, working till 6 o'clock in the morning, 12-hour shifts. And so he just couldn't continue to do that.
Right.
And so we worked with him to try to work out a part-time schedule. Of course, it was, his decision, up to him what he really wanted to do. But he ended up deciding to take a break for a while. And he said he would like to come back in the future, maybe when he has a different job. But, what you cannot do is go on 3 hours of sleep for an extended period of time, week after week after week. And he was just too exhausted to continue the coursework.
Yeah.
But those are just some of the stories that happen on our campus, with students. Some of them are working part-time. There's, I think, probably few on our campus that are not working at all. But so the students are trying to navigate, everyday life. They're trying to work, attend college, take care of families, and there's a lot of challenges that come with all of that.
Right. Certainly that might look different than students at a university, when we think about, they certainly have adults coming back as well, but you probably have a higher proportion of students who are literally working full-time.
Yes,
and have those kind of other commitments to family. So that's something that's definitely a challenge. When we think about the community that you serve, what are some of the ways that you kind of feel the community stepping in to maybe help with that? Or maybe even since receiving this recognition of College of the Year, do you find that changing where you're getting a little bit more attention, maybe even from the community to support students?
I can't really think of a specific example other than, with being College of the Year, we have received a lot more attention.
Yeah.
I think the community takes a lot of pride in the TCAT receiving this award. It has spurred conversations, within the community and curiosity as to, what are the programs that we offer. Mm-hmm. And of course, with our stakeholders, with our business and industry, they are on our campuses frequently and they understand us. They know what we are offering. So I think it has brought attention to the industry as well, because we're able to say, okay, these are where our students are going to work and these are the jobs that are available there. Mm-hmm. So I think the community as a whole is taking a lot of pride in us receiving the award.
Yeah, well, it certainly it certainly does help to have community members who are just more familiar with your story, because then they're sharing that again with others if they hear about a student who might be looking for a path.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Encouraging them to check you out. Part of the conversation in the book's also around this idea of higher education capital. And so I just want to kind of hear your reflections on this idea. You're working in a space where that's maybe can be demonstrated a little bit more effectively, right? Because within a year and a half, they're out, applying for jobs with the skills that they've earned at your institution. And so it's really tangible in a very short time frame what that might look like. But when you think about the student who dropped out versus a student who does continue on, the differences there and what they're getting, you have any reflections on this concept?
I do. As a general concept, the authors coined the term higher education capital. It's very logical, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning that a person gains capital or more self-worth based on the education they've received.
Right.
it's my belief that anytime someone can learn something new, your value increases, both your self-value and your value to others around you, right? We all need to be lifetime learners. I'm a huge proponent of that. I've actually done that my entire life, completing my master's or my advanced degrees in my 50s. So
Yeah, there you go.
So as a rule, I encourage all of our staff and even my children to always try to improve themselves. It always helps if what you're learning is something that you really want to learn and that you're interested in. But I'm a huge proponent for lifetime learning, and I totally agree with that concept.
The authors, argue a little bit too about how students can take control of this level of head cap based on how much they invest in their experience at the institution, maybe even what they think about the college in general. So, I'd like to hear, again, your reactions to that statement, but also maybe talk a little bit more about like the students that you have that get engaged with some of the activities of the college, like Skills USA or other kinds of programmatic efforts that the college offers. And do you see a difference there in those students and what they're getting for capital?
Sure. Our Skills USA participants, of course, they enjoy all the activities associated with skills. TCAT Morristown has had several gold medal winners and silver medal winners and bronze, and they really get involved. I think it's a way to highlight our key students and what's going on the campus. But most importantly, I feel like students really need to believe in what you're selling, right? They need to believe in the institution and what we offer. They must see value in the quality of the education they're receiving. And otherwise, what's the point of them spending their time and energy on the campus, right? So they're aligning with our mission and probably don't even realize it, but I think showcasing students in Skills USA and things like that are important and provides an organization for them to be a part of. But I certainly think that there needs to be the buy-in from the students into your institution, and it plays a part in their overall value of what they're receiving.
Yeah, and there's leadership opportunities in skills too. Do you want to maybe speak to how you're again promoting kind of this holistic view through some of these activities with the students who decide to engage with that?
Well, we have with our student leadership organization on our campus. We have student leaders from each program that meet monthly, and they discuss and talk about things going on the campus and how to make our campus more inviting, and really mentoring new students as they come on board on our campus. So I think that plays into our Skills USA as well. All of our students are members of Skills USA. And so just trying to develop those leadership traits within each program and have a student representative for each particular program on our campus.
So Susanne, as we bring our conversation to a close today, I'd like to get your thoughts on just, you're a president of a TCAT College of the Year. So kind of, I guess, your advice or final reflections on, what college reform efforts can be done to make the student experience more effective.
Well, in my opinion, the principal reason that the technical colleges, or TCAT Morristown in particular, exist is to serve business and industry. And I think that we always have that in our sights and do not feel like we've lost sight of that. And in fact, I believe it's something that we do really well. From the beginning of students' training, when they're onboarded, they receive tremendous support from student services, and that continues on to the classroom. Due to the nature of our hands-on training in our programs, our students receive one-on-one training from our instructors. They are with our instructors 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, 30 hours a week for a year to year and a half. depending on their chosen program. And the way our programs are structured, they have a sense of belonging to that particular program. And our staff really get to know our students, their strengths, their weaknesses, and work with them to grow and develop them to their full potential. As our students spend so much time together, it's like a family mindset, within the college. Additionally, our business and industry partners are on our institutional and program-specific advisory committees and provide input into the programs we offer, our curriculums, and are on our campuses frequently. So they're the ones hiring our graduates. Our community is very involved in what we offer and determining the needs. It's truly a partnership. Our instructors really care about not only our students, but the business and industries that we serve. And they have a clear understanding of the contribution that they're making to the regional economy and our overall success. And likewise, our non-instructional staff, which have a student-centered approach, are very dedicated to serving our students and supporting them. So altogether, I think we are a cohesive team with a student-centered approach. We truly want our students to be successful. And I think what we do the very best is we truly care for our students really well.
Thank you, President Cox. Super excited to have had this time with you today. Share a little bit more about your institution and the work that you're doing with students. And really, again, appreciate your reflections on some of the themes from the book, The Real World of College.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to this edition of From the VC's Bookshelf, brought to you by TBR, the College System of Tennessee, powering the state's economy and changing the lives of thousands of graduates, starting successful careers each year. To learn more about upcoming book selections or to register to attend discussions live, visit tbr.edu/bookshelf.